Hello guys, this is Legendarma TV and welcome to the Vindictus 2020 Spellsword Arisha Guide. Do you guys remember that? I want to say I still can't believe that for my first ever video guide, it took me almost an hour to explain a character. Today, in 2023, I'll try to beat that time. This video will feature my all-time main Spellsword Arisha. I went through ups and downs with this character, so this class is very special to me. Let's break down the Time Witch and update my super old guide. Enjoy. Let us begin with Active Crystal Burst. Detonates your deployed crystal, dealing pretty good damage and restoring stamina. This skill has very short cooldown, but shares it with Active Ether Zone. Mana Blade. When you press Tab, Arisha will switch to a Mana Blade mode. In this mode, you will attack extremely fast, deal a lot of damage, have your deployed crystal always be at level 5, which is red, and unlock a couple of other abilities. Mana Crystal. Whenever you use right-click, Arisha will throw her blue crystal. Every attack performed in normal mode will enhance the crystal. If you press right-click again at any point, it will return back to Arisha, dealing damage to enemies and giving you mana. Mana Drain. Basic block ability. Has pretty good iframes. Whenever you use space, all the stored mana will turn into true mana. Mana Edge. Unlike other classes, Arisha only has one combo in her normal mode. Whenever you spam left-click using your sword, or right-click deploying your crystal, you will deal damage to the enemies and steal their mana. Diffusion Shift. Basic dash ability. Has very nice iframes and is perfect to combo with the block. Active Ether Zone. Detonates your mana crystal to create a pool of mana on the ground and restore stamina. The pool deals damage and restores stamina every second. The more enemies stand in the pool, the more stamina you will regen. Shares cooldown with Crystal Burst. Mana Tracer. Throws a projectile forward. If the projectile hits the enemy, it will leave a mark on them. This is an amazing tracking and mobility tool. If you press Tracer again, Arisha will teleport to the marked enemy. Alternatively, you can apply the mark by simply dashing towards the target and pressing E button. Active Ruin Blade. This might look complex at first, but it was simplified, and after a bit of practice, you will nail this active. A 3-stage combo that requires inputs for every stage. All of the attacks of Ruin Blade will give you mana. Arcane Flurry. The core of Spellsword Arisha. Whenever you go into Mana Blade mode by pressing Tab. Every time you press left-click or hold it, Arisha will rapidly slash the targets around her, dealing massive damage and spending mana with every swing. Counter Drain. Slashes the target and has follow-up attacks. Either input SW for a similar slash afterwards, or AD for a fancy multi-hit flip. All of the aforementioned attacks have counter properties and will also give you mana. Resonance. Arisha casts a Mana Storm and then sends it to the target location, dealing large amount of damage and giving you mana. Never use this ability as it is. Many Vindictus bosses have transitions when they are invincible. Use that to your advantage to pre-cast Resonance, so by the time the boss will be attackable again, you can hit them with the storm. Diffusion Warp. When you have your crystal deployed in Mana Blade mode, you can press right-click to swap positions with your crystal. During the teleport, you will slash the enemy, dealing a lot of damage. This ability has a 9-second baseline cooldown. However, every time you slash the target with Arcane Flurry, this cooldown decreases by 1 second. Temporal Shift. Basic hold move. Freezes time stunning the boss, allowing free DPS for the party. At the end of the cast, it will also give you mana. And MP Swap. This requires 250 SP. If you hold space, your block, Arisha will extend the iframes on the block and convert 250 SP into 100 mana. This ability has a 25-second cooldown. For the common skills, level up Smash Mastery, Battle Respiration, Stamina Mastery, and Standing Endurance to rank 9. For trans, choose whichever. It doesn't matter. But pick Fervor to gain extra additional damage during transformation. Skills down, moving on to specifics. Arisha has a unique resource called Mana. Mana is essential to deal damage, so managing it will be your top priority. However, in case of Spellsword Arisha, she has 2 types of mana, stable and unstable. For easier explanation, I call them stored, which is dark blue, and true, which is light blue. In case of stored mana, you can't use it until you transfer it via block. To gain stored mana, simply attack the enemy with your crystal and sword attacks in normal mode. Also, different active abilities will net you portions of stored mana upon landing them. As for true mana, you can use it right away, whenever you use Arcane Flurry, Diffusion Warp, or deploy your crystal in Mana Blade mode. Just like stored mana, you will gain true mana through active skills as well. And lastly, Perfect Drain, a very important tool that many players overlook. Whenever you farm stored mana in normal mode, don't rush to transfer it into true mana. If you block an enemy attack, you will prompt Perfect Drain. This will turn 100% of your stored mana plus an additional 50% as bonus true mana. The more consistent you are with perfect drains, the faster you will reach bigger pools of mana with less effort. Treat Spellsword as an arcane mage in WoW, if you ever played that. You will go through 2 looped phases, a burn phase, in which you will be burning all your mana for burst damage, and conserve or farming phase, where you'll have to farm as much mana in the shortest period of time possible, so you can burn again. Moving on to combos. When it comes to combos, it's pretty simple on this class. We have normal mode combo, which is right click into 5 left clicks into right click. So we deploy our crystal, do 5 left clicks to charge it to red. You see, turn the color. And then we just return it back to deal damage. This is fantastic and basically the only thing that you will be using to farm mana during the farming phase. Also remember to use the Perfect Drain for extra mana gain. It's very, very important. And of course, the only combo you're going to be using for the damage. You go into Mana Blade mode, so you press tab, then you deploy your crystal, it's already red in Mana Blade, then you do right click again, and then you slash. So we teleport, and then we slash with left click. Just hold the left click. Once the cooldown passes, we right click again and we teleport back. However, you have to use a thing that is called Quick Tracer. As you can see, if we don't use the Quick Tracer here, so we deploy the focus, crystal, we teleport, and we're far away, right? We're swapping positions. So we have to go back and start doing our combo again, right? So in order to prevent that, use Quick Tracer. So right click, you deploy it, right click again, and then instantly press E. And you will glue to the boss. Then you can slash R into E, R into E. And we never, ever fly away from the target. This is extremely important. I can't stretch enough how important this is. Also remember that if you detonate your crystal, and you will be doing it a lot, via Crystal Burst or Ether Zone, you will have to redeploy your crystal in order to be able to warp again. We also have the Ruin Blade combo, and as I said, it has been simplified. So you press the ability. For the first stage, you will have to immediately input WSAD. If done correctly, Arisha will gain iframes and deliver a massive strike, dealing tons of damage, and then she will leave in a stance for a few seconds. Which means you can input stage 2, which is SW. This way you will hit the enemy with a single slash with counter properties. To activate stage 3, press either SW or AD after your stage 2 slash to perform yet another attack with counter properties. Should you fail the stage 1 of Ruin Blade, you will still strike the enemy, but the damage will be minimal. You won't gain any mana, iframes, and won't be able to perform 2 other attacks. And also counter drain. You just press the ability, and then afterwards you can either input SW or AD. Defense. A Spellsword is pretty much immortal with how many defense tools she has. First of all, you have Space, which is your regular block. You can also hold Space, which is mana swap. This extends the iframes further. Space plus directional key, or diffusion shift, or just dashing around is pretty viable as well. Whenever you apply the tracer mark, if you press it again, while teleporting, you will gain the iframes. Same goes for the diffusion warp. So R to deploy it, and while you're teleporting with R again, you will get the iframes here. Active Rune Blade, all 3 stages have iframes. The first one, the strike, the stage 1. Once you input it, you gain the iframes. And both of the counters, the slashes, they have the counter properties. So SW into SW or SW into AD. Same goes for the active counter drain. The slash itself is the counter, and also AD or SW follow-up attack, will give you the iframes. And of course, active temporal shift. This is true iframes, completely invincible, and you can enjoy some titties here. Mobility. Arisha is somewhat agile. However, she is locked behind cooldowns and precious stamina that she's insanely glutton for. You either can dash E and loop it, this is quite fast, or dash into left click, loop that as well. Be advised that both of them consume a lot of stamina. Also, whenever you're in Mana Blade mode and you through your focus, Diffusion Warp can be used as a mobility tool, but really, you won't use it for mobility much. And of course, the Mana Tracer, but the problem here is Mana Tracer has a cooldown, so once you use it, you get back to the boss. Let's say Bokai pulled the aggro. You easily just teleport to the target. But then they pull it again and you have the cooldown, so you'll have to rely on the other tools of mobility here. Stamina management, the bane of Spellsword Arisha. Sadly, Arisha has only 2 abilities that restore stamina, and both of them share the cooldown. So you either used Crystal Burst or Ether Zone. Crystal Burst gives you instant 100 stamina, while the Ether Zone gives you 100 stamina and also plus 13 stamina per tick per second. But you have to make sure that the boss stands in the pool. That's it. No more stamina restoration tools, which absolutely sucks. It's god-awful. You will be out of stamina constantly. Many Spellsword enjoyers, including myself, have been complaining about it for years, yet nothing has been done to buff the ways to regen stamina. Ideally, if the developers reduced the stamina cost per Arcane Flurry swing by 3 or 4, it would have been fantastic. But if you didn't know, the main developer of the game, his name is Dole by the way, mains Spellsword Arisha, and he believes that walking around restoring stamina while doing nothing is perfectly fine. Go figure. Artifacts and scrolls. In case of artifacts, use Fang while learning Redeemers or Time-Space raids. This is a universal artifact for learning. It's great. Cat Statue, in my opinion, lost its purpose since you already start the battle with 350 mana, and most of the raids have trash mobs to farm mana and SP to the max before the battle. This leaves only Werewolf Paw, and you might think, but more speed means more stamina consumption, and you will be right. However, Paw also allows to burn and farm mana faster, resulting in more overall DPS, even if you have to take a few walks of shame when out of stamina. God damn it, Dole. As for scrolls, cheap version to install on your compass will be Quiet Enchant Scroll and Stroll Enchant Scroll. The expensive version will be Peaceful and Dash. The first scroll will regenerate 2 mana per second, which in grand scheme of things is great. And the second scroll will proc us extra attack speed. Arisha does a lot of attacks per minute, so Stroll or Dash is the go-to. And of course the Awakenings. This one is pretty straightforward. Active Crystal Burst, Mana Crystal, Mana Edge, Ether Zone, Mana Tracer, Arcane Flurry, and Diffusion Warp go for damage. Start with 8% and then slowly upgrade to 10% damage. As for the Counter Drain, I want to say that both cooldown and damage are viable. I, however, use only the cooldown one. Active Ruin Blade and Active Resonance use cooldown for the former and SP reduction for the latter. To be honest, the Resonance, I used to use the cooldown reduction, but honestly, in all the raids and how fast they go, you want to have the SP reduction because you are only going to be using Resonance once per battle. And that is everything about Spellsword Arisha. It's a very flashy and fun character, and I believe we beat my first guide's time. So mission accomplished. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Love you 3000. Stay safe, and I see you next time.